All right, welcome to the Swartz Center, to the inaugural Social Enterprise Prize, kind of an offshoot of the long-running, very coveted McGinnis competition. So this is the first year that we're doing this, and we're so happy and excited about everyone's enthusiasm. And today we're going to hear, these companies went through the same rigorous rounds of judging as the McGinnis. But the big difference is, and almost not quite big, but particular difference is that these companies follow a triple bottom line. They aim for a triple bottom line, which is profit, planet, and people. And you'll see that in their pitches. One of the things that's different about this prize, too, aside from this in the first year, is that they also get an opportunity to have one representative to the Health Prize, which is a global prize, also a social enterprise prize for $1 million. And Kentucky actually, in 2012, when she was at the Hines College, won that $1 million prize. We didn't actually get the funding at the time, but we did. Yes. That was like the early iterations. Yeah. The early iterations of the Health Prize. So the way this is going to go is we're going to hear pitches, 5 minutes each. The judges get to ask questions for about 5 minutes. And then there's going to be a 2-minute break as the students turn over. There's a graduate competition that's separate from an undergraduate competition. And then at around 5:30, after all the pitches are done, the judges will be sequestered and deliberate and pick the winners. 1 for the graduate category and 2 for the undergraduate category. And then as I'm going to introduce the judges briefly now, but in the middle, as the students are turning over, I'm going to tell you all a little bit about the judges. So we have Matt Zeger from the GitLab Foundation.
Grab a microphone or stand there. Nobody online.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have Matt Zeger, GitLab Foundation. Say hello. We have John Levinson, CMU alum. Kendra Ross of Duolingo. David Shapira, former trustee of Carnegie Mellon, among many other things. Kitaki, also an alum who doesn't know Potion Law. Of CMU. So they will be serving as our judges. And then online is Kim online? Kim McCormick, who's also an alum and is in the Alumni Association Board. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first company, Avalon.
Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to listen to us. My name is Derek.
I'm Akil.
And this is Avalon. And to give you some background, I was a TA here at CMU for Concepts, which is a proof-based mathematics course. And we had about 200 students and 30 TAs. And each TA would work about 10 to 15 hours every week. But the reality is that only 4 of these hours were spent teaching, and the other 6 to 11 was spent grading. And grading sucked for 2 reasons. One is that it was grading. There's a ton of work and no one likes it. But the second issue is that we put all this time and energy into grading, but students really wouldn't look at their feedback, only when they did poorly or worse than expected.
So we estimate CMU spends over $1 million in grading a year. But the bigger picture is not just that we could save institutions money, it's that grading is expensive, which creates this inequitability. The UN's goal number 4 for quality education is completely bottlenecked by this ability to grade quality at scale due to the lack of resources that some universities may not be able to have. Think about it. Not every university can hire a large army of TAs to grade large assignments. And to address this inequitability, we built Avalon. Avalon is a human-in-the-loop AI grading system, which solves the two biggest problems of grading. One, by reducing grading time by 95%, and two, by rethinking the way we give feedback. We are currently in classes at CMU, and our product is complete, and Derek will show you what it looks like.
Yeah. So to start, the professor will post some sort of assignment, and the student will visit the website and make their submission. When it's time to grade, the student or the professor will first upload some reference solution, define the specifics of their feedback that they want to give, and then define an initial rubric. But before we go to grade, we have to calibrate our AI grader. And this ensures that the AI is grading just like the professor does and not grading on its own. How it works is that the AI is going to start and it's going to actually grade the submission. And the human is going to be watching. And if it makes a mistake or it's not grading how the human wants it to, the human will tell it. It'll provide feedback to it. The AI will take that feedback, suggest a change to the rubric, and remember not to make that mistake further. The idea is we repeat this on 5 to 10 of the submissions, and then we apply the AI to the rest of the submissions. But this only addresses the reduction in grading time, and it doesn't talk about the feedback at all. To rethink the way we give feedback to students, instead of just getting your grade, you actually get an empty rubric. It is then the student's job to grade their own assignment based off of the same rubric that the AI did. We then compare the AI's grading to the student's grading. And if there are any differences, they'll submit a discrepancy report, which is basically a reflection on why it's different. An example of a discrepancy report had is that this student thought they deserved the rubric item, but the AI didn't give it to them. The rubric is looking for some sort of causal relationship, and the student argues that the causal relationship is in their first sentence. The student's first sentence, however, talks about a correlation, not a causation, indicating that the student doesn't understand the difference. So the instructor can give this targeted feedback to the student. We recently just finished a research paper on it and submitted it to AIED. We found that 78% of submissions were self-graded, compared to nearly half of all feedback files going completely unaccessed. We saw a 95% reduction in grading time, and we have high signs of a lot of accuracy, with only 9 out of our 1,729 judgments being overturned. When it comes to our competition, we do things a little differently by rethinking the way we give feedback and by targeting non-essays.
Our business model is simple. We charge $10 per student per semester, which is 1/10 the current cost of grading, making grading extremely accessible and affordable for all institutions. And we have a lot of room to grow. With 3.5 million US teachers and 4,000 US degree institutions, the US is just the first step in a worldwide opportunity of 1.3 billion students who need equitable, high-quality assessment tools. Currently, we have 2 paid courses and 20+ commitments in the fall at CMU, Pitt, and Chatham. And we are currently in an intro to psychology course at CMU, as well as a machine learning course.
Our current commitments lead to about $10,000 to $20,000 in ARR, but we're rapidly expanding our paid pilot program to 100+ professors or 100K ARR for this fall. If things go well, we're going to expand the program to over 1,000 professors. This is the team, and this is our future. Do you have any questions?
Judges? Great ask.
Hi. Okay. So I guess this sounds interesting. I'm a professor. I don't like grading either. So this sounds good. I think the question I'd ask is, you just outlined what you would do. What's to stop someone else from doing the same thing? Like, how do you defend your pricing, right? You have a pricing right here, and your pricing is based on what we're currently paying in terms of our human labor. But if a competitor shows up, they're going to compete with you, and you'll be competing based on your baseline cost. Your baseline cost might be very low. So I guess the question is, how do you defend against someone else looking at your pitch and saying, man, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to do that too.
So we have 2 reasons about this. The first is with our research. We think our research is very important to kind of validate that this is a good thing. So a lot of the professors actually, they're like, is it accurate? And we show them this research paper, and that's one of our big moats. The second thing is that we're actually patent pending for our whole entire system, the calibration and the students grading system. We're currently, under patent pending.
This is on? in the courses in which you've already signed somebody up, doesn't that mean they don't need TAs anymore?
Right. So this is actually a big concern that a lot of our universities have. And we're not removing the need for humans. In fact, our paper is a human in the loop system. We're just reallocating their hours. So instead of being spent graded, they can be spent teaching with students or working with students instead.
And do you think that, I mean, I was a TA once too, and I had to try to grade papers and I hated it. So I understand the motivation here. But it seems to me that if the universities would adopt this,
Mhm.
A, that it might improve the educational system, but it might lower the need for TAs. In which case there would be taking an opportunity for people to get educated away.
Yeah, so the idea is not that we're going to get rid of all of the TAs. Instead, we're like changing like what it means to be a TA. They're no longer going to spend hours and hours grading 100 papers by themselves. Instead, they're going to be working with students or providing the targeted feedback like the discrepancy reports. And the other thing is now this frees up TAs time to do other opportunities like research and other high value tasks, which we think are more impactful in grading.
Just to know.
Rocky, then Matt.
Could you share a little bit about what are the results of your research paper? So like, what was the efficiency? Like one TA, say, for example, in 4 hours can grade 10 papers. What are they doing now? Or like, how much has that increased? And then you said the self-graded thing. I find that very interesting is that people self-grading, which I think is actually such a good idea. How is it actually changing perceptions? Like, can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'll address your first thing with the actual role of the TA. Now the role of the TA, instead of just grading, they do the calibration system, and then they respond to the discrepancy reports. And so we found that only 15% of submission actually has like active disputes. So now the TAs are reviewing that. And each one of those is about 2 to 3 times faster than grading a normal submission from scratch. As for the results of the self-grading, we see that students are much, much more engaged because 80% of them did it. And we also found, we haven't done a specific research paper analyzing the learning outcomes of this, but from our initial survey results so far, students seem to really like it and really appreciate it.
A comment and a question. I think it's genius, very smart idea to bring the students into the self-grading process, and the reports that you're producing is really focusing the human effort on a problematic piece that seems to be very efficiency driving. A question maybe about it seems like you're asking an institution to go through a financial, like a procurement process shift. You know, they have humans actually being paid to accomplish this, and now you're moving them to like a software service licensure process. Have you done any testing, or you have any kind of feedback on how you might go through helping people understand how to shift that cost and the efficiency that they're finding in this new model?
Yeah, so we've got about 20 to 30 paid commitments for this fall. And it's actually not that difficult of a process from the individual professor level. And kind of one of the benefit we have compared to high schools is that the people often making these decisions are closely related to the professor role in either the department level or the professor course level. And so shifting that is not that big of a deal. The other thing you mentioned was like human TAs. We're not actually removing the need for them. So they don't need to go and lay off all of their staff. We're just kind of like readjusting their goals and readjusting their role.
Hello, my name is Eileen, and I'm the founder behind Scala. To start off, how much do you weigh? I'm not actually asking, but if I were to ask, you could probably give me a reasonable estimate or step onto a $15 scale from Target to find out. The actions that a wheelchair user must take look very different. The average cost for a weighing scale for people with mobility impairments is over $2,000. Wheelchairs can be anywhere from 20 to 200 pounds, and so the load-bearing requirements make this product very expensive. If someone doesn't live with a caretaker, they must use public transportation to go to a physician's office, which is relatively difficult. Not knowing your weight is more than an inconvenience. There are over 1.4 million patients affected by dosage errors related to medication prescription each year. This leads to over 91,000 cases that cause significant patient harm that require additional hospital stay. All of this leads to $760 million in expenses in the US healthcare industry related to medication prescription and administration each year. My solution is Scala, a folding wheelchair scale that allows people to weigh themselves in an affordable manner in their home. It's designed to unfold to allow ambulatory wheelchair users to weigh themselves and transition off of their wheelchair. At the start of my design process, I looked at incorporating a scale into the daily lives of an average user, incorporating load cells into existing modified shower benches or toilets, but given the wiring and mechanical concerns, the earlier ideas were more impractical. I went for a straightforward solution, a seated weighing scale following ADA requirements and recommendations for the height and size of this product category. Scala uses plywood pieces and polypropylene joinery with strain gauge load cells in the feet of the chair to measure someone's weight. There is a digital display that allows people to instantly see their weight and a corresponding mobile app that allows someone to track their health and see if there are any adverse side effects to medication or undiagnosed medical issues affecting their weight. The target base for this customer is over 19.8 million adults in the US. This number is expected to grow as we see a rise in prevalence in chronic diseases related to aging. The UK and Sweden currently drive innovation regarding elder care products, but the global rehabilitation equipment market is valued at over $20.1 million. Current products are outdated and expensive. The most common one are just giant steel platforms, and the current seated scale is still over $700. So as I mentioned before, the total user base is 19.8 million people, and this can be further segmented into bariatric, geriatric, and paraplegic people. So indirect customers would be care programs that target these specific user groups, such as comprehensive care programs that help people lose weight to qualify for bariatric surgery, providers that work with Medicaid to offer care for older adults, as well as veteran support systems for paraplegic people. So to map out the stakeholders, the end users will be everyone with mobility impairments, and influencers will be healthcare providers specific to these people, and decision makers will be the end users themselves, as well as retail superstores and nursing home communities. The distribution channel will follow a direct e-commerce site that allows people to buy directly from the website, as well as selling with hospital healthcare facilities and partnerships with retail stores. Scala is priced to be at $180, and it costs $120 to make per unit. This price is expected to decrease to $80 per unit once it's manufactured at a bulk scale. It can be priced higher and still be competitive, but the other end is that most people are not willing to pay over $200 for a product that's non-emergency. To give some background, I'm a student studying industrial design, and I'm trying to define my own design philosophy as I enter the workforce. I believe that design can be leveraged to better the human condition, and I want to design for a world that I can age into independently and gracefully. So these are my next steps. Do you guys have any questions?
All right, judges.
I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the work you've done on the distribution of competitive products, because the ones that sell for $800 don't cost $600 to make. They cost a heck of a lot less. And then along the way, it's marked up, and the medical business is really a mess in terms of kickbacks and getting paid for checking boxes and so forth. And you have to fit into that. And I just wonder what you've explored there.
Most of the distribution research I've done have been primarily in the rehabilitative space, and the development for these type of products are primarily funded through research because it's not as profitable in the short term. And so most of the products that I've seen come to market are through veteran support systems, and then they are distributed slowly through healthcare facilities that ultimately are not accessible to the end user.
Paul?
Thanks for sharing the very nice idea. Whenever I look at something, if I'm trying to get into a business, I look at how much the existing thing costs, and I try to figure out, why does it cost that much? Because if there's a good business opportunity, someone else must have come in. Why do you think it costs $758? Like, what's your theory of why can they get away with charging $758 without someone like you coming in and competing?
I think because of the licensing and requirements needed to clear all the FDA requirements, innovation within the healthcare sector is slower. And so it takes time to make a product that is more consumer friendly and not designed only to fit within a healthcare facility.
I'll ask a follow-up question. I'll ask a follow-up question, which is when I buy my bathroom scale, I don't think it's cleared by, I buy it from Target. So I guess my question is, do you see your product fitting in a space where you definitely need, I don't have there's no right or wrong answer to this. I'm just trying to understand what your business model is. Are you trying to run something where you could potentially just do a sale, like, selling a scale at Target? Or are you actually trying to run a business strategy where you're going to go through all those regulatory loopholes? And there's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know what you're thinking.
The goal is to make the product as accessible as possible and end up as like a consumer product that can be used in the store. Unfortunately, because of the consumer base, having it within directly to consumer in the beginning is going to be more expensive. And so working within healthcare facilities in the beginning would be more viable in the beginning stages.
Sorry. Fantastic idea. Have you spent any time talking to anyone in terms of just like customer discovery at an individual level or at an organization level?
At the start of this project, I worked with a paraplegic researcher, and so he gave really valuable feedback on the realities of his day-to-day and the work that he does in relation to rehabilitative equipment. And so I worked with an occupational therapist that also gave feedback on like what the realities of like the average tasks of a user would be. But in terms of outreach with customers, I have not done as much discovery yet.
I have a question to follow up on maybe all three questions. I believe I heard you say you could sell this for X. What did you say you could sell it for, you thought?
180.
And how much did it cost?
120 to make one unit without any bulk purchasing.
Because that seems to me like it's a very small margin for a manufacturer. Have you thought about that? And have you thought about how, given that kind of margin, if you want to call it, you would pay for all the other expenses of getting this sold?
Yes, it can be priced higher, but there was a Statista study, I think in 2023, that showed over 70% of the people were not willing to pay for non-emergency equipment that was more than $200. And so increasing the price would make this product a lot less attractive for someone that cannot afford the product. So at a certain point, I think the economic concerns overshadow the health concerns in the long term.
All right, so then I think I heard Poe ask a question before. Have you investigated whether you can produce it for less money?
At a manufacturing scale, at a larger scale, it would be because making molds for the joinery gets cheaper over time once it's made in the initial fabrication process.
Great. Thank you so much, Aylin. So the next is Adapted. Adapted is a B2B edtech company that streamlines special education accommodations for K-12 schools by integrating AI-powered test modifications and automated compliance into existing learning management systems. Mouthful, right? Let's welcome them.
So, hey everyone, I'm Aditi Shimpi. And I'm Allison Yu. We're building Adapted, an AI-powered platform that streamlines special accommodations by automating the process of IP compliance for teachers. So let's dive into it. There are 7.5 million children with special needs across the US, and that number is only growing larger each year. And unfortunately, our education system just can't keep up. I've seen the system personally from the inside out for the last 16 years as an advocate to the strongest younger brother with autism, Atharva. And for our teachers, we also see the struggle because most of them end up feeling overworked and over half of them can't comply with IP compliance. So let's take a step back. What does this all mean? What is the process? It starts with an IP, which is a legal document that outlines the accommodations a student needs to succeed in the classroom. First, parents and teachers create this plan, and then teachers formally receive it. The next step is teachers actually implementing this plan in real time, with the last step being evaluating progress, with teachers having progress tracking to make sure that IB goals are being met. Now, unfortunately, the thing that ends up happening is 92% of teachers feel that they can't meet these IEP goals, which results in schools not only violating the Federal IDA Act, that also results in legal fees and lower funding for them. And the deepest cuts happen for our children, who consistently receive education they don't deserve. How do we know this? We've spoken to countless families and over 40 school principals, Board of Education administrators, and teachers all across grade levels, and they all confirm that this is a big issue. Now, let's take a step back and take an example. Here's a student with these pretty commonly seen accommodations: multi-step direction, vocab support, and let's take a math problem. Sarah went to the market and bought 24 apples. This is what a current modification looks like: highlights and bolding, and that's it. And I don't see anything that aligns with the accommodations that are supposed to be there. Now, there's a lot of good solutions in the market out there, but they only solve parts of the IEP process. But as you see, there's nothing quite yet for step number 3. And that's where we come in as AdaptEd. So join us in making sure that teachers help students like Atharva, who's on the screen with me right there, and making sure that they receive the education that they deserve. So how does our solution work? We process IEP data to generate modified tests and assignments. Teachers can track IEP goal progress teachers can generate, I'll move on to the next slide. Oh, and it fully integrates into learning management systems such as Google Classroom. We will use that as LMS from now on. Let's revisit the example that Aditi provided earlier. Given these modifications, what we see is that the current system takes a math problem from this and turns it into this. What a proper modification should look like is this. We see step-by-step breakdown, reading comprehension, and embedded vocabulary support. That is AdaptEd. And the answer is 6, by the way. So let's look at our platform. So here we have the dashboard where teachers can view their students and their current courses. Then teachers can look at individual students' profiles, which clearly outlines the students' accommodations, as well as tracks if they're meeting their IEP learning goals. Finally, the teachers can modify assignments where our software extracts student IEP profiles, takes the original assignment, modifies it, and which is tailored directly to the student's accommodations. Our value proposition is that we directly integrate with LMS platforms such as Google Classroom. And bam, there is your assignment, modified assignment, ready to go. Our software, we make sure that our software and our data training is strictly compliant with FERPA and IDA laws. So how does this benefit our market? For schools, we ensure better student performance as well as fewer compliance violations, which leads to higher school ratings and lower legal costs. For teachers, we aim to save them up to 10 hours of work per week. And for our parents, we offer better visibility into their students' education. So how do we know it's working? So we aim to measure retention rates, marketing ROI, student performance, and the amount of hours saved by teachers per week. Awesome. And why are we the team to do this? Because not only do we care, we built our careers around this. I'm studying finance, previously at Goldman Sachs, doing impact investing, and won the largest VC competition in the world. I've also grown up with the special needs space, whether that's building assistive tech in high school or founding CMU's Special Olympics chapter. My heart belongs to this space. I'm Allison Yu. I study psych ed. I'm currently a research assistant at Duolingo, currently piloting one of their first K-12 education programs. Aditi and I met the past year as RAs, and we have had one of our first conversations about changing the education space together. And our CTO, Ankit, is a dedicated Special Olympics volunteer, previously Neo Scholar finalist, also excited to transform the space with us. We also have a strong board of advisors, and looking at our market, I think we stop now, but the rest we can cover in Q&A. Thanks, guys.
Great, thank you. Questions, Justine?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed reading your mini business plan very much, and I have personal experience in this space, and I know that I could probably name 15 teachers that would love to have this, and many parents as well. This is a big problem. How are you going to sell it? Are you I read in your business plan that you plan on selling to school districts.
Yes, exactly.
Have any idea how hard that is?
Oh, so hard.
How long that sales cycle is and how the school board changes every couple of years and you have to start over. Yeah. Tell me about what you know about it.
Perfect. Yeah, would love to. So of course, perfect slide to cover this. Barriers to entry. We know that it's super hard to sell to schools. So we hope that by offering things like free trials and our pilot testing program, which will show that not only are we improving test accuracy and results, but we're also making sure to save schools money through lower compliance funding and legal costs. We hope that that is something that will really reduce the barrier for our entry. And the other thing is also making sure that we are compliant with all data privacy. The biggest reason that a lot of the current solutions out there in the market don't fare as well is because they tend to struggle with FERPA compliance, IDA, and ADA. So one thing that we factored into our timeline is also making sure that we get all the approvals that are necessary and making sure that we also get on the GSA Schedule 70, which is a pre-approved list of vendors for all school technology solutions. And if you get on that pre-approved vendor list, it's usually easier to sell to school boards. So looking at our conversations that we've had with Board of Ed administrators, we know that it's a pretty long sales cycle and it starts around August to December. So we hope that when we start our outreach, we focus in that timeline going to education conferences like NASET and the NEA to make sure that we boost it from all avenues.
Oh,
Yeah, thanks for working on this. This would be great. Actually, I think that this is a very important thing to do. Now, I actually use AI a lot. Actually, I made a post about AI being able to solve my midterm exam that ended up getting 1,000 shares over the weekend on Twitter and Facebook. But the main reason, oh, you're one of them. Thank you, Leah. Yeah. But the thing is, does it work? Because what I'm trying to say is what you're promising here sounds terrific, especially if you can even use it to get past the, if the school can use it for legal and compliance purposes. But I've actually tried using the current AI tools, and the reliability of what you're promising to do, I haven't seen how to do it. So I was wondering if you can give any examples that will let us know that the thing you're promising, you can actually do.
So far, we are currently in the pilot testing. We are about to enter the pilot testing of our product. And so really in pilot testing, we're going to be focusing on gathering as many school districts as possible. For each question, for each type of question and accommodation that we want to design for, we are going to have at least 100 types. So for example, we're going to give the teacher an example of a question and then have them modify it. And that would be just one of the 100 that we would ask for a specific type of accommodation. And so currently there is no model or system out there that is designing a product like ours that is designing for accommodations. So we will be the first to be testing and figuring out that process.
Right. So just to be clear on the question, my question is what's the current accuracy of your existing model?
Yeah. So right now, we are going to do our pilot testing program, and the issue that we have, which we hope that our funding and a bit more time can help us with, is getting state compliance approval. We can't actually use our system in schools right now because we're not talking about general education technology. This is special education technology. And for that, you need compliance. So before we even start testing, we hope to get that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so now we go in the grad section of the pitch, and you guys changed name. You guys are baiting and switching me here. The first team is Octopulse, and basically it's smarter fish farming, AI-driven inspection for higher yields and lower cost. Okay, get away, you guys.
We're good to go.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Paul Grech. We are the co-founders of Octopulse, and we are building the future of autonomous aqua farming. Aquaculture is a $310 billion global market and growing. However, operations are widely still very manual, resulting in higher labor costs and reduced margins. Through visiting Blue Ocean Mariculture, the largest offshore producer of yellowtail in the US, we toured the hatchery and saw firsthand the insanely manual and stressful process of inspecting juvenile fish before they're cleared to go to the grow-out pen for deformities. This process for Blue Ocean happens 6 times a year, where 8 to 10 technicians work 10-hour days inspecting 400,000 tiny fish by hand, as each fish that makes it through to the grow-out stage with deformities results in lost revenue. Overfishing is killing the ocean, and aquaculture needs to scale in order to meet this growing demand for seafood. Overfishing has caused global wild fish stocks to be on the brink of collapse, and coupled with rising population and the lower availability of farmland, it has made aquaculture paramount for the future of feeding the world. However, with stricter environmental regulation and rising labor costs, aquaculture requires improvements in technology in order to sustainably scale to meet this growing demand for seafood.
So this grading process has 3 key steps. The first one is separating the fish, then inspecting them, and lastly sorting them between healthy and unhealthy fish. Our solution addresses the issues in this process through automation. And for our initial pilot, we plan on focusing on step 2, which is the inspection through computer vision.
So you might be wondering why we're focusing on the inspecting and imaging module first, and that's because data in this industry is extremely scarce. Specialized cameras will yield unique data sets that will help us further refine our computer vision models. These computer vision models will actually be used to power our fish monitoring platform, which fish farmers can use to detect fish abnormalities with 90% accuracy. This allows fish farmers to increase their overall yield in aquaculture operations as well as their efficiency.
So far, we've developed a mock-up of a portable fish imaging module for imaging the fish. It'll use stereo vision and adjustable lighting for consistent imaging, and it'll have a waterproof design that makes it easy to integrate to the current infrastructure.
Through conversations with our initial target customers, we learned that accuracy from technicians actually drops to below 70% once fatigue sets in, and this typically occurs around midway through day 2. Through our AI inspection system, we cut the overall time it takes to complete this stressful process and free up technicians to perform other mission-critical tasks inside the hatchery, essentially improving the per revenue generated by a technician. Overall, with more healthy fish making it to the grow-out pen and less waste, we improve top-line revenue for our clients by around 5% of an estimated value. This summer, we have 3 pilots in the works, with one being with Blue Ocean Mariculture, and the estimated value of this pilot is around $100,000, including the labeled image data that's going to be produced as a result of this pilot. Post-pilot, we have a strong sales pipeline with farms in the Americas and the Mediterranean that provide an overall value of over $2 million in expected revenue. Long-term, we are planning to expand our technology into the offshore pen, where industry-wide 70% of cost is going on feed, and the value of this opportunity is over $20 billion. Our go-to-market strategy is direct-to-farm sales, charging around 5% of top-line revenue. We are all grad students here at CMU, and more importantly, we all come from the ocean with our family upbringing. Through expertise in aquaculture, computer vision, AI, and robotics, we are building scalable solutions to advance aquaculture and to, more importantly, protect the ocean. Competition is years behind and does not have the computer vision technology that's required to conduct this very stressful and manual process of informing inspection. Additionally, these competitors are focused on building large-scale industrial-sized solutions that do not scale to smaller farms outside of the Nordic salmon region. Starting with computer vision for the deformity inspection process to full automation, we are building the autonomous aquafarm of the future. We are asking for $300,000 to complete our initial proof of concept this summer, and we plan to raise a 2 to 4 million seed round at the end of 2025 that will set us up to achieve 1.5 million in revenue by the end of 2026. If you want to be part of a $300 billion industry and help to feed the world, join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Steve?
Whose tech are you using? Whose computer vision? Is this an off-the-shelf component that you're buying?
So the camera itself we're purchasing, we're planning on using a SED Mini, which is used in robotics and AI. It comes with depth sensing and motion detection, and then the actual computer model will be our own.
Yeah, the computer vision model will be fine-tuning off of YOLO and a bunch of foundational models. The data is the most important part, which we'll be collecting directly from the farms.
No, I understand that. I'm really I'm interested in the hardware component.
Sure.
So sourcing, domestic, international, where?
For the actual hardware, domestic.
Okay. And you're going to build your system where?
Here.
You put you have you already have a way to do that. You've already.
Yeah, we're applying to accelerators this summer, so that way we can leverage their operations, and typically a lot of the hardware focused ones will have a huge machine shop that we could use to actually build out.
Yeah. The hardware itself for the imaging, that's why we're starting with imaging. It has the lowest barrier of entry. Later on, the full-scale automation will require a higher capital, like in order to purchase like conveyor belts, but for the first camera module, we don't expect it to be too expensive, or we plan for it to be around $2,000. Like this box.
John?
I actually had questions along the same line. You've got plans to have 3, was it? Trials this summer?
Yes.
And you have a mock-up, you're going to use off-the-shelf parts. That's a lot of work to get done. And I just wonder what your plan is to do it. I do have to compliment you on your business plan. You really said a lot, and you've clearly done a lot of work, which makes me think that you have a good answer to this.
Yes. Here, let me pull up the appendix. There we go. So like I mentioned, our goal is to start with a low barrier of entry hardware and then increase production as we increase our revenue. So the imaging module, it'll mainly consist of 3D printed parts and like 80-20 metal for the first prototypes while we gather the data sets. Then as we expand, we plan on investing in more capable solutions for mass production. So like injection molded parts to make it increase the efficiency. But at first we plan to build mostly in-house.
Taki? Can I ask, I'll ask a follow-up question. So typically when you're building any kind of product, software, whatever, you have an MVP, right? Your minimum viable product, least amount of investment to test your prototype. What is that product and what is that cost?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it'll be around $2,000 and we're currently applying for Spark grants to be able to afford it as well.
Paul?
I have a math question about the economics. So I'm trying to understand. It says that for 400,000 fish, it takes 10 technicians working 8 hours a day, 10 days. That's 800 people hours, I think. 10 times 8 times 10. If you paid each of them $10 an hour, that's $8,000 to process 400,000 fish. That sounds like a good deal already.
Where
do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what's that?
In Hawaii, they're paid on average 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even then, your envelope for if you multiply the 35, now we're talking about that math is too hard for me, to be perfectly honest. But that's maybe $20,000.
There's multiple batches per year. So that's for one batch, but there's 6 to 7 batches a year. So now
but I'm doing a unit cost. I'm saying for 400,000 fish, it costs you $30,000. And you're selling yellowtail.
Yeah, there's also the cost added of the inaccuracies of the humans inspecting them. As Paul mentioned, after the second day, there's a lot of fatigue that sets in. So our idea is to reduce the cost or increase that accuracy and reduce the cost of the feed. Because right now they're wasting a lot of money on feeding fish that are not going to make it to the market.
Christine?
You mentioned 3D. You're going 3D print part of your MVP.
At least for the very initial prototyping, yes.
Right. Do you have you engaged someone that can do that for you yet? Do you have identified that?
I have experience 3D printing. And yeah, I think we're planning on using the makerspace here as well as Scape Hall.
But you haven't done one yet.
For 3D printing? Not yet.
In May is when.
We were focusing on the initial computer vision module because without that piece, it's hard to go to these farms. So we went to the farm, we showed them, hey, we have this foundational model. It works for salmon. We need your data to train on it. And then what we'll do is we'll start this initial imaging module so that we can actually scale up to the manufacturing part. So for the past 2 months, we've been working on that. I made a whole front end simulation that shows them, hey, we take your 10-day process, we scale it down to 1 day. If we're just doing that kind of automation, you add labor to that, maybe 2 days. Cuts your entire process down by a fifth. And from there, we go into the hardware part.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, our next team is Dance Compass. Dance Compass is a free resource platform for cancer fighters, caregivers, and their friends to find practical advice, share stories, and support each other through collaborative and meaningful arts.
Is it on? Oh, all right. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan, and that over there is my partner, Punyapa. I'd like to start this presentation with a hypothetical question. What if you were diagnosed with cancer? What will you do? And how are you going to manage that emotionally? Wait, sorry. Because that happened to me in 2019. I couldn't find support from someone who was going through the same thing as me. Moreover, the things that I found on the internet were like this, full of technical jargons that I couldn't comprehend. All of them resulted into a very challenging journey for me and my family. And we're not alone, because 80% of patients and caregivers need mental health support, but there are barriers preventing them from accessing it. And these barriers actually came from a systemic issue. Especially in Southeast Asia, there's a serious shortage of psychiatrists, which is 60 times worse than the US. So of course, a lot of people there struggle with mental health. Fortunately, there's a substantial increase in mental health investment, which is, I believe, that something needs to be done now. So starting last year, I partnered up with volunteer artists to create Dance Compass. This is a resource for everyone involved in the cancer fighting journey. So this is the current version of Dance Compass, which consists of my personal experience in battling cancer, and we package it with meaningful arts. We're going to expand to a story sharing community where people can support each other. We're also going to give practical advice to reduce the burden of having to understand complicated medical journals. And we're also going to offer live reintegration support in workshops and Q&A with experts, all with affordable cost. And how are we going to achieve this? I'll pass this to Punyapa.
Thanks, Dan. So now, to help patients and their loved one, we're going to start on the nonprofit side, where users can share their stories in collaboration with artists and track their mental health well-being. We'll partner with hospitals and insurers for expert insights and welcome business funding to create real impact. Not only that, we're going to ensure sustainability by having the for-profit space as well. So this is going to offer additional life reintegration support for patients and caregivers and open up the door for enterprise and public sector involvement. So we have validated this model with user surveys showing strong interest with 3 partners already ready to onboard with us. In just 4 years, we're going to help improve the mental well-being of users, saving them thousands in mental health costs, and reach as many people as 12 times the size of CMU students. And this is just based on the current partnership. The mental health online service platform market in Southeast Asia and beyond is much, much bigger, leaving lots of space for us to grow. While there are many mental health platforms out there, they're either peer-led support that can be misleading or expert-led advice that can be too technical. So not only Dance Compass combined the best of both worlds together, it's the only platform of its kind out there. So don't just hear from us, hear from them. 95% of our users said Dance Compass helped them through tough times and would be even more powerful with the story sharing feature and expert support.
Yes, Pujapa, and that's because we really understand the journey. I have an experience as a startup founder and as a user advocate, while Punyapa here has an experience in tech and health platform. We're both from Southeast Asia, and we've been patients, caregivers, and advocates ourselves. We know how limited the support can be, so now we're building a support system that we wish we had. We're advised by experts in multidisciplinary field, which we bring into one platform of their expertise together. And for the next step, we're going to expand and create the story sharing feature and build awareness as we reach out to our partners. And this is just a start, you know. So we invite you to collaborate to create a better world with us. With Dance Compass, we're building a community where people can share their stories and their stories become hope. The artworks that are showcased today reflect the reflect the dedication of our volunteer artists who share our vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Itaki?
Fantastic initiative. So I am originally from India, and growing up, there is a huge stigma in Southeast Asia on sharing
Yes.
health issues or personal health issues. Have you experienced that, and how are you sort of mitigating people coming out and sharing their stories out in a public space?
Okay, so I came from Indonesia, and people tend to share their stories, but publicly by their own selves, you know. So for me personally, when I battled cancer before, I looked through these stories, but it's very sporadic, like, and it's very scattered. I want to create a platform where those stories can be merged into one platform. So these cancer patients, these caregivers who need support, can just go into one platform and then read all the stories and get inspired.
John?
Can you help me understand better the go-to-market strategy and whether you're going to be going through doctors and caregivers or just direct to market, and how you plan to price it?
Okay, so for the go-to-market strategy, we're going to start with a non-profit site first. With the non-profit site, if it grows well, it will also attract the funding from sponsors, from the enterprise, and for the CSR funding, you know. And then, because we already have this credibility of managing these funds, we're going to expand to for-profit. And then for this for-profit, we're going to add a subscription model, which consists of having an art workshop, art therapy, and also life reintegration support. Yama, do you have anything to add?
Just to add on, we also have a cool framework that we're following called IDAN, which is Initial Funding, Development, Awareness, and Nurture Lead. So in 2025, as of now, we are looking for the competitions and grants and trying to get the partnerships that we need to get the initial funding to develop the story sharing feature. And then we're going to look into the expansion to after having like enough users, as Dan mentioned, we're going to go to for-profit. So that's the more of the development of the pro subscription, as well as having the partnership with enterprise for their brand exposure as well. So that's the plan for the current moment.
Yes, thank you, Bunyapa.
Christine?
I have a question.
Oh,
Yes.
David?
I've had cancer in my family twice. I'm currently dealing with it right now with my son. Am I understanding you correctly that at the beginning, you're going to rely on philanthropy to give this service away?
Yes.
And hopefully that people will see the value of it and then in the future be willing to pay for it? Is that the business model?
It's a different business model. So we're going to keep these two separate. So for the non-profit, it will consist of the story sharing part. And the for-profit, it's for people who seek for additional support. What kind of additional support that we provide? We will provide art therapy, workshops, and also Q&A with medical experts, financial experts, and career experts.
This is just to have the additional support that people need. So this is based on our survey that we launched. So actually, we're going to allow them to get the access into like the workshops with medical experts, financial advisors, insurers, or art therapy that Dan's mentioned, with the lowest cost that we would be able to offer for them.
Christine?
Oh, we're launching. Yeah, we're targeting Southeast Asia, and we're going to start with Indonesia first. Yeah, because it also has the biggest population in all of the region in Southeast Asia. And yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity to grow there.
Yeah, so this is based on our ranking metrics that we did before. So this is based on the
Oh yeah. So basically, we ranked all of the Southeast Asia's countries, and we consider three things. First one is the giving index. Giving index is how charitable the country is. Second one is the market entry, how easy for us to get into the market, like the regulatory hurdles and everything. And also the third one is the potential social impact. Yeah, like how many people that we are going to affect if we launch this is at those countries.
We have time for, yeah, Kendra?
I just had a question about the monetization model, specifically around artist access and hiring. And can you give me a little more information about what that means in terms of commissioning artists and recruiters?
Yeah, sure.
Quick
So,
answer.
oh, okay. So as you can see here, the arts are beautiful, right? So we want them to get access to recruiters. How? So we're going to collect all of this data, all of those portfolios, and we're also going to, market this portfolio to recruiters with the hope that the recruiters will come and hire them. And we're going to charge a commission fee based on that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, there they are. Eval AI. Eval AI is the go-to solution for AI regulatory readiness. Go.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. So this is John. He's the product lead for the iTutor Group, a global leader in online education. He actually led the deployment of AI-powered recruitment software that just to reap the benefits the AI can provide. So the AI-powered software was actually found to reject any applicant 60 years or older by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. This cost them $365,000. So iTutor Group's not the only one kind of having this challenge. The improper Gen AI models are exposing organizations to legal risks and reputational damage costing up to $1 trillion. This is only going to grow as the LLM market kind of continues to skyrocket. So it really comes down to needing better assessment tools. There's a lack of standardized compliance framework when it comes to generative AI. There's an evolving regulatory scheme and a high risk of unintended consequences like the one John didn't see coming.
So this is where our model, Eval AI, comes into play. It's an online interface that would enable firms to evaluate their Gen AI models and on national US regulations and responsible AI principles. This would be done by inputting your model, comparing your model against a benchmark model of predefined repository of compliance ethics, and enabling you to download this compliance report to for your firm's usage.
As to the question of what sets us apart, we have solutions for all the AI compliance and governance questions the clients might have. The way our team is designed and the way our products processes go in the background, they allow us to be agile to customize our product solutions oriented towards the client's needs. And it allows us to be agile in terms of accommodating newer benchmark regulatory models that keep coming up as the AI space and compliance risk frameworks evolve over time. I think the biggest win that Eval AI brings over all of the other competitors you might see here is the idea that the core of our product and the core of our team, the heart of our team is in policy. None of the others have that sort of background, whereas we come in with a policy focus and a policy motivation to solve technical questions, and which gives us which makes us believe that we have heart in solving for the problem and not for the profit. And that's I think the best positioning Eval AI has over the others in the space.
Great. So you've heard a little bit about our product, and we'll talk about the business part of it all. So we've identified 3 target market segments, but for the sake of our initial scope, we're really going to focus on regulated enterprises. This is because it makes up most of the market share. The number keeps growing, but also because these industries have a lot more to lose. But for an even more specific reason, we at Eval AI are really passionate about democratizing AI. And we think to do that, we have to think about increasing scope. And that's why we're really focused on regulated enterprises. So let's talk funding. So we are taking a staged approach. We're hoping to be completely self-funded, profitable within 3 years. But up until then, we're hoping to kind of really focus on impact investing because although we are mission-driven, we also want to make sure that our money is mission-driven too. And once we start thinking about our market strategy, we really want to target risk officers, CTOs, compliance teams, rather than your typical like development technical teams. From there, that's how we'll kind of develop our pilot partnerships. So we've already had conversations with Bloomberg and the Federal Reserve System, and we've got some really good feedback and buy-in. And from there, we really hope to convert our pilots into paying customers, and we'll do that through a subscription model. And as we kind of think further down the line, we really want to get regulatory buy-in, right? We're policy people. We think there's no better way to kind of get that policy buy-in than having regulators on our side. And then further down the line, we hope to kind of think about expanding globally. Right now, we're domestic focused, but we see the potential. So that is Eval AI, and we hope that you come aboard with us to democratize AI.
Thank you. Matt?
It's a great idea, and we are very involved with Eric Schmidt in this and a bunch of folks, Stripe, including others in this space. So I'm wondering a bit about your beachhead. Like, you seems like you're trying to tackle everything, and I'm wondering what segment you would want to start on, if you could start on, that you feel like you have enough both regulatory insight as well as particular value proposition for that industry at that time.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else wants to take it. I think ideally, we would start with like something in financial services. I think because most of our team has like a bit of a financial services background, so we think our connections are there. Yeah.
Just a note, like, I think it'd be clear, it's important for you to differentiate that because of the work going on in biomedical research models versus financial model, very, very different regulatory schemas. And you may want to just make sure you're segmenting that clearly.
Yes, Jim.
Perhaps this is the follow-on. I wonder about making your benchmark model and having that evolve consistently, continually, and in a timely fashion, and how difficult that is, and what you think you can bring to the party that nobody else has.
Yeah, absolutely. I can take that.
I'll use a microphone too.
And I actually, is it okay if I kind of ask?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we actually kind of, as an informal appendix, hit a few slides. This one, this is probably the best one. Oh, let me.
It's not there.
It's amazing, right? Honestly. There you go. Okay, and I'll kind of like go here. So Eval AI, actually, the idea came to us in Policy Innovation Lab with our client being Bloomberg. That's also why she mentioned financial services. There's a type of Eval AI that already exists in Europe. They call it Comply AI. We kind of found that. We found the value add that it could have in the context of the US. And the way they maintained those benchmark models was actually with academic input. So they were stored in GitHub, and then they would receive feedback and then kind of update it as it goes. So we would be implementing that same type of model using GitHub. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Exactly. Exactly.
Great. Yataki?
I think you mentioned that you already worked with Bloomberg, right? So you have prototyped this with someone. What's the delta that they found with what's compliant versus what they currently had, and what was the lift for them? Like, how many man hours and capital did they require to actually make that? Just to get a sense of like how big a lift this is for companies.
So they didn't actually kind of like apply the product. What we ended up building was a type of Figma kind of fake website. The website isn't literally made. You can go to the Figma if you access it like on the computer on our mini business plan to kind of get a sense of what the website would look like. But yeah, they had a lot of buy-in. They really liked the idea, but it wasn't something that we have necessarily kind of implemented technically.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're almost down to the last team. Online, we can't see her, but Kim McCormick is also judging. She is also a Carnegie Mellon alum, extremely active in the Alumni Association Board, is a nonprofit consultant specializing in nonprofit M&A. There is such a thing. And she also delivered this year's Connects on nonprofit financing. Great. So the next team is Expired. It's an AI-powered perishable management platform that helps retailers reduce shrinkage, optimize inventory, and automate markdowns while giving shoppers transparency in freshness and pricing. Take it away.
Hey everyone, my name is Lawrence Hua, and I'm a produce manager at Giant Eagle. Did you know that every year grocery stores lose hundreds of thousands of dollars on perishables? And it's not just a store problem. Customers, shoppers, and the entire food system feel it too. So that's why we created Expired, so we can prevent waste before it happens, and we can turn that loss into an opportunity. 28.7 billion loss annually in grocery food waste, 300 to 400K loss per store in perishables. And in 2024, 100 plus food waste reduction bills proposed, with 12 states enforcing stricter food waste laws and giving tax incentives for food donation. If that doesn't open your eyes to the problem, let us demonstrate one we can all understand.
Hi everyone, I'm Rambi, the Inspired Mobile Lead, and I love grocery shop. Last week, I bought the strawberries on discount and they lasted for the whole week. But 2 days ago, I bought these strawberries at the full price, and look, they're already moldy. I wish I knew how long it would last. That's $5 wasted.
In stores like mine, lose even more. We lose the customer trust and the ability to actually know what tracking we're doing. So the problem is here that right now, markdowns, we just grab an item from the front of the house, inspect it, and if it looks a little bit off, we throw it in the markdown section for the same price. No strategy, no tracking, just a reaction.
So even the store don't know if they're discounting correctly and if the food is good to eat?
Exactly. And that's where Expired comes in. It gives us confidence to make the right decisions. Here, take a look and try out Expired. Meet Expired, an AI-powered platform that can scan produce and give you a quality freshness score so we can act before food goes bad.
So if I scan these strawberries, I can actually know if they're fresh?
Exactly. Expired takes the guesswork out of things, allowing shoppers to get the right product at the right price and the right quality, and it helps retailers optimize their yield.
Wow, that sounds great. But why do you want to launch it now?
Well, it's a compliance issue in 12 states, and it can cost up to 50K in fines a day. As well as that, grocery retailers are actively trying to seek strategies to comply with these new laws. And customers, shoppers like you, are increasing demand for sustainable practices in grocery retail. So let's talk numbers. The TAM is $1.8 trillion in the United States for the US food and retail industry. The SAM is $5 billion, encompassing the top 15,000 grocery stores' operational inefficiencies, which contribute to shrink. And the SOM represents our immediate revenue potential. How do we make money exactly? Well, we have two revenues. The first is through the customer, where we charge $60 a year. And the second is through the business, where depending on their revenue, we charge 15 to 25K a store for a total annual potential revenue at year 5 of $915 million.
Seems cheaper than other competitors, but why do retailers choose Expired over other solutions? What's your secret sauce?
Our secret sauce is combining AI quality scoring that only gets better with use, with markdown pricing, shrinkage prevention, customer engagement, and inventory forecasting and optimization. No one else integrates all these solutions into one centralized platform.
So how do we bring this to the market?
Well, we have a 3-phase approach. The first phase is to pilot with Giant Eagle to prove our solution. The second is a regional phase where we scale past just produce and gain new partnerships. The final phase is to scale nationally to 4,500 stores and over 800K users by the end of year 5. Also, the environmental impact is just as big. We save 60 to 90 tons of waste per store, save 1.06 trillion gallons of water annually, save stores 20% in shrink, and shoppers at least $200 annually. And as well as that, we align with SDGs 2, 12, and 13. But exactly who are we? We are a team of AI engineers, grocery industry veterans, and relentless problem solvers who refuse to accept food waste as just the cost of doing business. So to take our mission to the next step, we're asking for $10,000 we need to pilot with Giant Eagle and to prove our shrink reduction. So food waste is a $30 billion problem, but it doesn't have to be.
As a shopper, I want to trust what I'm buying, and the stores should be able to sell fresh food, not throw it away.
The problem is urgent, the opportunity is massive, and the solution is in place. So please join us in transforming the grocery industry together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I
All
ask
right,
just
Kendra?
a quick one? On your timeline, you mentioned scaling past produce.
Yes.
What does that look like and what does that mean?
So for example, right now, we started off with produce because it has the highest shrinkage in all grocery stores. As well as that, computer vision isn't as great as we might think, but in the more recent years, it has become a lot better. So, tackling just produce actually is the hardest step, right? Because in order to get the quality of something, have you ever heard the saying that beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Yeah, so basically, this is what it basically is, right? Like, how do you really define what quality is? And so with our pilot, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to create a standard for all grocery stores to look at something and say, this is good or this is bad, not just from the produce manager's perspective.
Well, what does that mean, past produce? So, you mean you scan other types of grocery items?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at fruits, vegetables, but we also want to go to proteins like fish, chicken, meats, and then also as well as that, non-perishables, right? Like boxes of cereal or drinks. Like kombucha. Kombucha goes bad quick, so.
Jim.
Hello.
Hi. The assumption is that you know the answer to when that strawberry turns bad. And I wonder if that's correct, because if you're scanning it, pops up and says, oh, it's going to last till Thursday, so it's fresh. Where do you get the information that it's going to last till Thursday? And doesn't that change with time and conditions and other things? I don't know where you get the benchmark, except in certain things where it's going to be obvious and simple.
That's a great question. And actually, so right now we have a freshness score. So this freshness score kind of represents how fresh an item is. As well as that, we provide a reasoning. So for example, these boxes of strawberries over here are very moldy. So it would give a freshness score of around 50 to 40%. But as well as that, they would give reasoning too and say, there's a box of strawberries that's moldy. Hey, you probably shouldn't eat this, right? As a shopper. But as a retailer, we are looking at thousands of items every single day, right? So how can we quickly and consistently give a good or bad rating? That's what expired does. So when we scan something, we say, okay, this is in the threshold of that grocery store. So let's say a grocery store like Giant Eagle, they want to only have, let's say, 85% freshness. So if it falls below that, they're going to throw it in a markdown section so that it'll sell quicker.
I forget, are you scanning the fruit or are you scanning a code that has information about the fruit?
We're scanning the whole thing. So if it has a code, that's great. If it doesn't, no problem at all. We can just scan the strawberry and it'll know the freshness score. The reason why I say we can scan the whole thing is because there is a lot more information in that little barcode, right? You can get, the brand name, where it's from, other things like that. Although you can do that with computer vision as well, it makes more sense to have an optional field, right? Where this barcode, if it is optional, if it is seen, then it'll count into the metrics.
And also for the box, you can scan several boxes and get the average freshness score for each box. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi. Okay. So this first of all, this is a good idea. I think it's great that we have something like this. I have a question about some of the numbers. I'm actually just curious how you came up with the estimates that in year 3, your total revenue are $230 million to $348 million. And if you can do this, why isn't anyone else doing this? This sounds amazing.
Oh. So that is a great question. Based on our research from other competitors who are currently putting AI freshness or AI in grocery retail, that's exactly what they're doing now, reducing shrinkage by 20%. So over here, I say, we reduce shrink by 20% for stores. A company called A-Fresh does that, and they put out a study that says, hey, we actually reduced 20% of shrink in that store. The money is based on, let's see if I can get to that slide quickly. So this is what you mean, right? Or this one?
I was going off of the business plan, but that's fine too. I mean, basically there are 3-digit million numbers, and I'm curious why nobody else is trying to do this.
Well, you know, in more recent years, there have been a lot of developments in computer vision, right? So something like this hasn't really been looked at fondly, especially on a standalone platform like this. Usually you would have like a camera hardware or something of that sort. So to answer your question about the numbers, based on research of what we came up with was food waste.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
That concludes the pitching portion. So for the next few minutes, the judges will, where are we headed? Well,
for the reception.
great. And so before we go, I want to thank Allison, who made this event and tomorrow's event possible and makes many more things than this possible at the Swartz Center. Thank you so much. All right. Hello. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding. You guys don't even know how hard it is to be Dave Mawini here, pretending to be him. I hate him right now. There you go.
Kristen, please. Thank you.
All right, we are on the yummy portion of the social enterprise pitch competition. But before we begin, I just want to give a big shout out to Dave Mawini, who literally, you know, had a head injury today, and it's like I'm bleeding internally, but I have to be here. This is how much he loves the Swartz Center. And I still remember talking to him at a coffee shop, you know, over 10 years ago, as this was just an idea for him, and believing in the entrepreneurship community in Pittsburgh. So, you know, we owe everything to, you know, what's been going on here to this Dave's idea. And he loves to share that, you know, fast forward 10 years later, you know, the Swartz Center is the third ranked. Yes. So, you know, the McGinnis Venture Competition has been going on for years. And, you know, this is an idea that was, you know, that I believe in because I'm a social entrepreneur. But also thank you to one of the professors and one of the alums for really kind of believing in this idea, and also another donor who shall remain anonymous. Bob Blattberg also went in and said, you know, I believe in this. I want you to do this, and has allowed us to pilot this competition this year. We're going to announce the winner. But before we announce the winner, I would love to invite Matt from Denton's. So Denton's is, he's going to talk a little bit about Denton's, but Dave Carlson is here, who was, you know, the partner of Denton's that helped us and our social enterprise from the very beginning down to the many, many, you know, when we grew and now, you know, multiplied to the many, many contracts that, you know, my head started spinning. David and Denton's has been on our side and helped us expand to what is now 30 cities in the US. So thank you so much, Matt.
I should just stop there. That's just such a great endorsement. There's no need to go any further. But so Matt Clark, I'm with Denton's. If I can see a show of hands of the Denton's lawyers. Okay, you please make sure that they talk to you about your endeavor, your company that you're starting. So the McGinnis competition has a place close to my heart. I actually worked with Jerry McGinnis. I worked at Respironics and realize all the good he did for our community. And so that really kind of leads to the Swartz Center and all the good they're doing for the community. And we're really just happy to be part of it. And without further ado, we're going to hand it back over to the real story, and that's the winners.
Yeah. All right. You have to help me. I can't do this alone. Okay. You have to do this.
The winners.
Yes.
Okay. Winners from the undergraduate division. We had a very unusual situation occur today. We had a tie.
Oh.
Has it ever happened before? I can neither confirm nor deny that it has happened before. But, you know, like I was talking to David Shapiro before the event today, and I asked him which of his kids was his favorite kid. And he had a great answer. My oldest daughter is my favorite oldest daughter. My middle daughter is my favorite middle daughter, and my youngest son is my favorite youngest son. So you are all my favorite, and I wish that we could have all winners, but we have a tie for first place in the undergraduate division. We will combine the prizes and split them down the middle, and our winners are Avalon and Adaptec. Adaptec, come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. All right. Not everybody that's in the room was here today. So can you give a 30-second elevator pitch about what your company is?
Sure. Hey, everyone. We're AdaptEd. I'm Aditi. This is Allison. And we're building an AI-powered platform that streamlines special ed accommodations to allow teachers to automate the process for IEP modifications. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Derek. This is Akil, and we're Avalon, and we built an AI-powered grading system, which rethinks the way we give feedback to students.
So while the money gets split, we have to give one the first place and the one the second place. The one who gets the second place, turn it back in, and we'll get you a first place. All right. All right. So with our McGinnis venture competition, we have a special inscription on the bottom, which is winner, winner, chicken dinner. Can you please read the expression on the bottom of this one?
Winner, winner, tofu dinner.
There you go. More social impact. We went tofu. All right. All right. So we're going to get some pictures with the teams. So if you guys can come into the middle here. We get one big group picture, and then we'll do two separate. So could you guys step to the side and we'll take a picture of them, then we'll bring you back in. And a great conversation. Thank you so much. Now we're going to these guys here.
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, thank you for your patience there, guys.
Thank you.
For the graduate division, we have one place winner. And this place winner is been working at the Swartz Center for quite some time, taking full advantages of all the resources that we have. We have 24 different programs that we have. And without further ado, the winner is James Bond Octopulse.
I would say the whole name.
Yeah. Come on over, guys. She's going to give you your prize.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, tomorrow is our big McGinnis venture competition, which starts at 1 o'clock, runs through 5 o'clock, and then again, we'll have another reception tomorrow night. These teams will be brought back to give a quick pitch of what they've done. So the people that come tomorrow that didn't come tonight. So we'll be excited to see both the undergrad and grad track winners. Really have to thank Leah for completing the spectrum of activities that we have here at the Swartz Center by adding social enterprise. Really, really important part of all the things entrepreneurship. We have a family business center. We have entrepreneurship through acquisition. We have corporate startup lab. But, you know, we don't shy away from the tech that we do so well here at Carnegie Mellon. And if everybody would just give Leah a great big round of applause. She's been amazing. And Allison, come on up, Allison. Woo! We call her the conductor. She makes the trains run on time. She runs both this competition and the McGinnis competition and our Connects workshops and our website. So she does a great job. So there we go.
That's it. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the food. And if you see the judges, they have great feedback. Ask them questions. And thank you.